Hey guys, what's up? It's Schla coming back to ya with another episode of Car Rides with Schla. And today it was a pretty nice short day. It was a pretty nice and chill short day. Can't really complain. Of course, we can't complain. And yeah, I don't think there's too much else to even mention, really. That's it. Show's over. Show's closed. Case closed. No. I actually was doing some pretty deep thought today about things. And yeah, it's pretty crazy to think about what my brain has done in terms of calculating things and trying to figure stuff out. I don't know. It's always trying to optimize and fix things. And a part of this, a major part of it, is due to, I think, what we feel like we have to do, even though it doesn't really make any sense. You know, we feel like we have to optimize, due to a lot of pending issues that we're dealing with as a world, as a planet. There's a pretty tight economic crunch hitting people sort of out of nowhere that I think a lot of us weren't expecting. I know my parents' generation definitely was not expecting for us to have to deal with, for themselves to even have to deal with. We're being hit with a lot of crunch. And so expectations are higher now more than ever to be 2 jobs, going to college, doing all these things, bing, bang, boom, like move, like that's really where we're at. As a culture, as a society, this is the standard expectation. That 40 hours a week standard has really faded. And yet at the same time, plenty of people have issues finding jobs. And there's data to prove all these things, but some people don't listen. I just heard some, coworker at my job make a comment like, "Oh, anybody can find work. If someone can't find work, they're lazy." And it's weird because I've talked to the same person before and they seemed more empathetic than that. I almost think at times some people just automatically regurgitate certain things that they hear without really rationalizing it. It's kind of strange, honestly. It's honestly kind of strange. But I think it happens because we're so automated, and that comes to where I got. When I was a child, my family needed to pull me off the beach. I would tantrum, and I physically needed to be removed off of the beach. I would not willingly leave the premises. And that was when I was a child. And really, for most of my childhood, I always loved going to the beach. And I would get messy. I loved playing in the sand. I loved playing in the ocean. But eventually, the older I got, the more I started to fixate on optimal things. And I guess in a way, a sort of a hedonism where, I didn't want to walk on the beach anymore. It doesn't feel as comfortable on my feet. Walking barefoot on the sand, not very comfortable as compared to having shoes on pavement walking in the sand is a little bit odd and a little bit uncomfortable. It's not optimal. It kind of sets off my signals to be like, hey, what's going on? Let's figure this out. Yeah, I don't know. We get and it's things as a child you just don't even think about because you're not even aware of it or you're not focused on it. Maybe our bodies were just more resilient. But I kind of think I just became more aware and attuned to noticing things as I grew, and your brain develops and you just become aware of certain things. Certain things that at first I dismissed or entirely didn't see as a child now look like something silly or an inefficiency that I'm going to cut out. Why should I go to the beach? The sand, it doesn't really make any sense. The sand doesn't make any sense. It's messy. Then I have to clean up. It's not worth it. Why not do something fun that doesn't require mess or risk? There's lots of things that are fun that don't have a risk attached to them. So you optimize over time, but you lose kind of where is the child? Now I hate going to the beach. I can't stand going to the beach. It seems like an odd thing for me to do. But when I was a child, I loved it. So is that love for the beach still there? And what kind of beliefs have occurred in my life for me to see it as such an inefficient thing? And why do I even see things that way? I feel like we are conditioned to think this way as people who are a part of the working class, as there's really no reason to think any other way. Rich people, I'm not even sure that they have to necessarily, because a lot of times they're just at the top and they have plenty of money. They don't even always need to work, But for workers, if you look at things systemically, there's really no reason for us to think in any other way other than to work as much as possible, as many jobs as possible, get as much as our money taxed out. Those would be good workers. So I think it's a lot of this societal conditioning that a lot of people don't follow, but I followed it because of worry. Am I going to end up homeless? Am I not going to have enough money to survive, to function? I need to get used to working. I need to buckle down. I need to get a grip just so I can survive. Because if I don't, I won't. And so you have to be efficient. There's no time for this. There's no time for that. You have to push and push. We all feel this way. Some of us more than others, of course. But how can I get back to that magical point? Is it impossible? Because I think this is something that many people ponder. Pondering, why do some things lose their luster? Why do we just become tired of stuff and grumpy and not feeling like doing this or that anymore? Why does this happen? What's the solution? How do we go back? How do we find that place where we once were, who we once were? How do we know we're doing the right thing? Is it really special the way I think? Buckling down? Is this unique? It's difficult to say. It's probably rarer to actually be able to enjoy something. And really, when you sit back and think about it, or at least when I do, it's pretty difficult to achieve enjoyment these days. We're constantly going crazy. We're constantly going crazy. I actually think these car rides and the walk switch law are some of my favorite moments in retrospect. When I think about how I feel, when I think about things I've done that I'm proud of, that's typically what comes to mind. And I'm so happy that I've discovered this outlet for myself. I can't believe I've lived so long without figuring it out. But there was many reasons as to why. There was many reasons as to why. I didn't want to record on the phone because the phone mic was bad or the quality was bad, all this stuff. And I fine-tuned things, but it's still, how special is it? I have all this fancy stuff. I have probably the best mic or near the best for this job. But what does it really change? What's really different at this point? Is anything really different? Does any of it really matter? I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm very I feel like I came into this episode thinking that I was really prepared with the sand thing, but it's really not coming out how I want it to. It almost feels unnatural. I think that's one of the strange things about myself is when it comes to talking and topics, if it's rehearsed, I almost like can't even do it. It kind of like it feels dull in my mind. Whereas if I'm talking presently, like right now, all of a sudden I'm lit up and it feels fun. It feels exciting or stimulating. And now I can talk. Now I can talk fast because it's something new. It's something fresh. It's very difficult for me to consider something that I've pre-thought about, you know? Sometimes it works. Sometimes I end up riffing on something else similar, something that's got somewhat to do with something else. You know what I mean? It really depends. It depends on what we got going on. Sorry, I have thoughts clouding my brain. It is interesting though. When I'm by myself like this, like when I'm sorry, I'm saying this kind of out of order. When I'm talking to somebody, the thoughts really don't come as often. It seems like I wonder, I mean, this might sound like something kind of stupid, but maybe the brain is just very intact when it comes to knowing and sensing another person's presence. You know, like maybe we really are just that much different when we're around another person versus when we're not. I think it's entirely possible. And that's something that's interesting. I mean, I've mentioned it before, but I feel like I'm relatively uneducated. Like, I haven't really, a lot of the stuff I know is just what I've happened to learn. It's not really anything that I was ever directly educated on. I've just absorbed random stuff. I kind of say random stuff. Like it's just not anything that I ever really worked on. And I guess, you know, at first I was thinking like, well, you know, that's really going to be the differentiating factor is, again, I really need to buckle down. And like, that's going to be my breakaway is like, imagine if I'm this good on nothing, imagine what I could be with something. I'm not even sure if that's the case though. I think this is kind of my whole thing already. Like we are who we are. You know, if I was somebody who was going to end up being better than who I was, then I wouldn't be me. I guess that's not to say that I should be trying to push or motivate myself further, because I do want to do that. But it just seems like my thing is always just when I'm not even doing anything. It's just that's how I talk. It's not if I try to think of a topic or I try to do this or that. There's been a lot of great moments on this show, and I don't think any of them were. I don't really think any of them were. Uh, None of them were like rehearsed. You know, all the tangents. Anytime I go on a tangent, even in general, I'm never planning on it. It's just like I just start talking. I don't even know how to describe it or explain it. And so even now it's kind of the same thing where I think with this show sometimes I'm like trying too much and it's not even what my thing is supposed to be. And I wonder, because like GPT would give me this kind of vague advice, but I wonder how like individually pertinent it is to me, or if I should just keep doing what I'm doing and just keep riffing off stuff, and you know, hopefully eventually something will stick, something will work, some kind of Yeah, I'm not really sure. Because I just wonder, how far do I need to go? How much do I need to do? I'm already doing a lot. I guess there's people who do more than me, do better than me, but I'm really feeling like winding down. I don't know that I really am all that interested in the whole like work hustle thing. It's just not. I'm kind of reconnecting with that side of me, but in a more balanced way. Because there was a time where I just didn't want to work at all, and that didn't really make any sense. But then now it's like, and I mean, I still would want to work. It's just there's a certain thing that I should be doing, and it's not what I'm doing. It's not a 9 to 5. It's not. As much as I don't have a problem with my 9 to 5, it's just not what I should be doing. I know I'm meant for something more. I know it. So hopefully in time we can reach that level. Just like hopefully in time I'll be going to the beach again and not really care about the sand in the feet and just be able to let go and recharge. It could be holding my brain back, because I'm rarely ever able to get some kind of a break. You know? I mean, what good is a battery that can't recharge? I mean, am I even properly recharged? Is that part of the reason why I can't get to the things I want to get through or do the things I want to do? Kind of difficult to say. And these moments of silence, I mean, I guess I don't, like, should it matter? I keep being so torn about it, but I don't know what this show's supposed to be. I mean, maybe I've already recorded enough episodes of constant voicing. You know, it's like, how many times am I going to talk about whether I should be silent or not? It's really not very substantive. It's not necessarily entertaining, but it's true. I mean, I still feel like I'm fairly conflicted about exactly what I should be doing or exactly what I'm trying to be doing. I don't know. I think it's also fatigue in a way, but yeah, I don't know. I guess I always think in that way, and I guess recently I haven't been at my most entertaining. So it kind of makes me skeptical of how good I'm really doing. Are these episodes really good enough? Is it worth it? You know, these are the things that cross my mind, and it just yeah, well, man, I'm tired. I'm happy to have a break day, a breather, just to breathe, just to breathe. But I'm tired. Oh, I'm tired. Wow, I'm tired. Whoa, I'm tired. But yeah, I guess I get kind of worried sometimes. I get pretty worried. What am I worried about? Oh yeah, whether these episodes are good enough or not. Comes up a lot, an awful lot, you know. How I'm feeling about things, just in general. Comes up an awful lot. And I'm pretty disappointed in this episode. I really thought I was going to come through, but it's maybe that's part of the whole thing about how it's difficult to find why the sand thing doesn't work out anymore, why I don't care about the sand anymore, or I mean, it's I before I when I yeah, man, I'm really having a hard time today, aren't I? Yeah, it gets tricky. It gets tricky to convey certain things, but I mean, that's all this show is the spitball, and so I don't really know how much you can blame me for being the way I am. It's like, yeah, I don't really know if you can blame me. It used to be so special when I first drove through here. It used to be special, but it's obviously has not really felt that special for a long time, but it definitely used to be. Isn't it interesting how things change? You can have, well, isn't that the whole topic we're talking about? You can have such a positive association, such a positive experience with a certain thing, and the memory can be tarnished, the memory can rot, or things can just change. And then there's not really too much that you can do about it. Things change, people change, we change, they change. It all changes. I'm tired. I'm tired. I wonder if I said that this morning. Um, hmm. Yeah, it's always tricky here now for some reason. Just can't catch a break. All right, anyways, it has been schla, and now it's time to buy schla. So, see you, schla.